I have a lot of mixed emotions about retiring. I feel that it's time to go and that we're in a good place. I wanted to make sure we had our strategic plan and marketing plan for the next several years, so I'm comfortable about that. The people who are going to be coming in and being our co-executive directors are really highly qualified and have experience at United Ways. So both Emily and Chantel are going to do a great job. Um, it's always hard to leave people, right? For me, um, sitting quietly in the last few months in some meetings and sort of not telling, because I'm a very truthful person, so I realized that this was probably my last or second last meeting with some of these people, and I have so much profound respect for the leaders and volunteers and staff that I've worked with over the years. So I'm fortunate. I think a good part of my life, I have always been a volunteer and recognized injustices or gaps in services. So when I was a teenager, I coached young people with special needs how to bowl, for instance. I found a young man who I was ended up babysitting who was profoundly deaf, so I was able to help the family obtain some funding for hearing special hearing aids for him. And I think that just has been my drive. Before this, I did Breakfast for Learning and got to know the real stories for families and for kids struggling to learn. Some kids needed to have extra breakfast and snacks because they have medications to take. And we know that kids learn so much better if they're not hungry, right? I think in 2005 we started to make some transitions in how we supported the community. So one of the things was to look at community investment and community development as well as allocations and to blend those things together. And when you start doing that and then trying to work with other agencies in the community to bring us all together instead of working in silos, those were sort of our first steps. And we had a lot of community consultations during a project we called Community Matters. And then we did Action for Neighborhood Change, which was basically with Red Pine community. And I think we learned as an organization big gaps, how we can support people in different ways, and that we have to think out of the box to do those things, right? So we knew hunger was a big issue, as well as housing and transportation and education, but food is an immediate need, and we needed to look at ways to improve those. And we listened to people during the poverty reduction strategy writing team. I was on that. And we heard from people they wanted more cooking classes. They wanted to have fresh produce at food banks. They needed more than 3 days of food during a month. You know, if you've got a family of 5, 3 kids to feed, 3 days doesn't stretch you. And you know, canned goods are good because they're non-perishable, but people need to be healthy. And so having fresh produce became a topic that many of us shared. And so we convened, I would say for almost 2 years, conversations around how can we improve the food that's, you know, a level of food that's going out, ensure that we have fresh produce and improve people's health. And so this blue sky dream, we had already been working on building community garden plots around the city of Fort Lakes and even up into Halliburton, and they were a success. And we've always had a wonderful relationship with Crayola. And I was speaking about the garden plots, and Paul Zadorsky, the general manager then, said to me after breakfast, "We need to talk. We have this hunk of land just sitting here, and maybe we can do something." So we brought in named partners. We've had experts like farmers, funders, agencies that are delivering programs like hostels and cooking classes, a place called Home. So we had about 32 people for 2 years committed to have those conversations. and out of that came Edwin Billings. I hope to. I hope maybe to be on the steering committee. There are lots still great things to explore. I do want to take some time for myself, and I also want to still probably work part-time or something. I haven't quite decided. It's very new for me to not be doing 2 or 3 jobs at once and going full tilt. Um, but I think I need to take a bit of time and reflect. I've lost a lot of people in my life in the last 4 or 5 years, and it's always so busy you don't have time for yourself. And so I am going to be a bit selfish for a few months. And the kids in the neighborhood, I promised them we'd do some volcano making, and several of them beat me at Jenga. So I'm going to improve my Jenga skills so they don't wipe the floor with me. I'll be gardening here at my place. This is my sanctuary and my quiet place. Well, thank you.